Long distance relationships fail because distance changes how we view our relationship. It's not just that your bodies aren't next to one another, it's that the perception of what it means to be intimate becomes distorted. That distance amplifies the quietest of insecurities and asks couples to completely rewire how they navigate trust. So today, we're not talking about your cute FaceTime dates. We're going to take a scalpel and dissect into what we can do to make long distance relationships work and why most couples approach it in entirely the wrong way. I'm Sam, and this is The Connection Room. When we look at the conundrum of long distance relationships, most people immediately focus on the distance. But the distance doesn't create relationship problems, it just removes the fences that hide them. When you physically share the same space and you're used to getting all touchy-feely with each other, that touch regulates emotional need. Simply being around each other allows you to fill in communication gaps that are way easier than when you're absent. But if you sprinkle a little distance, all of that can evaporate. What was shaky before becomes a full-on headbanging convulsion. This is why some long-distance relationships don't even make it out of the gate. So let me explain. Humans are mammals, and mammals evolved attachment systems that depend on physical proximity, skin-to-skin contact, body odor recognition, and vocal tone. In a study known as the Bucharest Early Intervention Project, researchers found that children raised in Romanian institutions without touch and consistent caregivers were more at risk for attachment disorders, impairment in their emotional regulation, and altered brain development. Facts is facts, Jack, and the facts say that we are built to bond through being around each other. This can cause you to ask questions such as, are we drifting apart? Or what if the access that I don't give is being given to someone else? This grey area creates what psychologists call attachment activation. Basically, mixed signals flip your brain into survival mode, so you start overthinking things. Everything becomes urgent and you want answers fast. If you've ever got the text saying, we need to talk, you'll know the feeling I'm talking about. This isn't exactly insecurity, it's a condition that we can slip into because the environment that has been created is one of instability. And so what you need is some structure. Long distance couples love saying, oh, we talk all the time. Hooray for you. But talking consistently without any structure is like the guys you can always catch in the McDonald's queue because they're bulking, bro. It fills a need, but it doesn't nourish in the way that it's supposed to. Research done on relationship satisfaction shows that consistency matters more than quantity. What is predictable reduces our uncertainty, and uncertainty is that deadly assassin stalking long-term couples, especially when distance is involved. So instead of these random texts throughout the day when both of you can find the time, you need to schedule calls so they're consistent and predictable. Throw in some shared weekly rituals too, and make the effort to physically see each other when you can. Chaos is romantic for about 2 weeks, and then it becomes exhausting. And long distance relationships don't work when you're exhausted. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, because most people have the mindset that long-term relationships are a slow train to infidelity. But cheating is a symptom, it isn't a diagnosis. The main problem is emotional drift. You slowly disengage from each other. With each call, you have less to say and your conversations become superficial and obligatory. How was your day becomes a vapid chant of the entire relationship. But we build intimacy by partaking in shared meaning and not just shared information. If I tell you something that means something to me and you understand why it matters, that is a secret source for intimacy. Couples who can survive long distance relationships actively work, planning visits, timelines, and share goals. But if you're refusing to share what you want with your lady because
if they don't know your dreams, then they can't shoot them down,
then you're not walking the same path. Affection is cute and all that, but direction is what allows you to move together even though you're not physically together. And that's what staves off the need to find a connection with another person. If you're an anxious person, then distance increases hypervigilance. And if you're an avoidant person, then that distance gives you a whole lot of emotional hiding space. Neither is bad, but both need managing. Even in well-regulated adults, jealousy still prickles the ego. Self-doubt rears its ugly head, and high levels of stress can trigger emotional withdrawal. Making a good relationship secure doesn't mean that these feelings never appear. It means that they're allowed to surface without being a condemnation of the person who's experiencing them. This is called felt security. It's an internal sense that even if both of you bend, your connection won't break. Couples don't need to pretend that their independence is an excuse for their emotional silence. They also don't need to weaponize closeness into surveillance in order to feel valued. To be able to say that you're struggling with the distance without it being seen as an attack, that's how couples grow as part of this process. If you're going to have a fulfilling long-distance relationship, there must be an intentional structure, a clear endpoint. Good relationships don't fail just because you add distance. The real issue here is that people stay connected emotionally but become disconnected structurally. That's why the relationship feels delicious and warm when you're together, but unstable as soon as you put the phone down. You need to plant progress markers instead of vibes. Sitting down to ask how are you doing is nice, but you need to delve deeper. You should be asking questions like, are we closer to living in the same place now than we were 3 months ago? Is the goal still for you to move back, or are you expecting me to join you eventually? These are questions that don't need to be asked all the time, but they do need your attention on a semi-regular basis, especially if the long distance dating is going to be happening over a prolonged period of time. In addition to this, you need to use a shared calendar. Most couples default to how much they're talking, but what actually builds security in relationships is knowing what is happening, when you're going to see each other next. What's the next big milestone that you're counting down towards? Visible schedules isn't your partner getting in your business. It's laying a blueprint that reduces the gray area that breeds anxiety and paranoia. And finally, have a closing plan. People avoid this move because it forces honesty. Someone has to move. And once they move, there has to be an idea of what's being built on the other side. If nobody is willing to do that, then you're feeding into a relationship that has no application practically. Love without logistics is as fantastical as Lord of the Rings is. Long distance relationships are about learning how to build connection without the convenience of presence. By creating stability without the crutch of proximity, you can strengthen the foundations of your relationship. We treat distance as if it's a death knell for love and connection, but it isn't. It's another challenge that some couples will have to navigate. It's just that it has the tendency to expose whether your relationship is built on habit or intention. I'm Sam, and until the next time, make some room.